I'm Mo Khan. I work for TSN Radio as a freelance, booking guests, covering the Canadiens, Alouettes, Montreal Impact, or CFMTL now. Any major sporting event in the city of Montreal, I'm there for the station. I also do stuff for TSN TV with the CFL behind the scenes when it comes to live events, CFL draft, including Alouette home games during a normal time that we're in. And also, I do play-by-play for University, Stage Up, and CCAA. I think the key in having diversity is that you have to be open-minded, right? And make sure that you're encouraging everyone to apply for a job and say, we're not going to keep it to one particular person or group of people here. I think we're seeing more and more of it now in the TV world, especially in sports, where you see more people of diversity be involved in key positions, which is great for everyone out there. And I think that will encourage the next generation of people to say, you know what, I want to be the next so-and-so and be a TV host, radio host, or a podcast host for that matter. The key is that we need to have access, right? Given that we're in a pandemic world now, it's tough to have that, physical, hey, this person's here to talk about whatever subject is on deck. And I think that's going to be the key once this pandemic's past us, is that everyone who's involved, right, in the sports project world is to be able to get access to that player or players or person of sport to say, look, can you come talk to this group here and explain to us what you're doing exactly that can help, encourage the talk, encourage the ability to apply for jobs and whatnot out there. So I think that's going to be the key post-pandemic, is to have that ability to have that in-person conversation than the Zoom conversation that we're used to in the last 13 months. I think the thing is, though, when you look at leagues worldwide, it's different seasons, right? You look at North America, we have 4 major pro leagues that do overlap at times, whether it's in the fall or if not into the spring when you have the drafts or whatnot here. I think the key is that you want to have the platform out there to say, look, all right, leagues, let's work together. Let's have baseball work with hockey in the NBA and NFL. And look, we know the powerful league in North America is the NFL. They have the biggest platform that connects with so many people of different backgrounds, male, female, the whole 9 yards. So I think we can, in the next 10 years, with what we have with the new TV contracts, in particular for the NFL, we'll see that ability to have the increased talk to include everyone involved to become more immersed in the sporting world. In respect to the whole process, it's a slippery slope, right? Because at the time with Colin Kaepernick, when he first came out with kneeling down and whatnot, it was the unknown territory because we hadn't seen it in almost 30 years. Craig Hodges being one guy, former Chicago Bull, who questioned a lot of things and got blackballed for it in the NBA, didn't play in the NBA afterwards. I think for Colin Kaepernick, we saw what happened, didn't get a chance to play in the NFL again after 2016. And the reality is, for the way it looks now for the NFL and for any major pro league out there, is you have to have people who are progressive, that understand that there's also business dealings as well. And sometimes you might have a guy who's a sponsor of a league that might not be comfortable with that. And that's where the leagues, sponsors, and players associations have to all get together and come up with a compromise. Well, not a compromise, but a solution that will be able to be beneficial, that will be able to help, expand the horizons to make sure that we have everyone inclusive and make sure that everyone's not going to be at angst of not being able to have that ability to talk about whatever issues on their mind, what's going on in the real world today. I think, look, in respect to what I do, I mean, look, there's some old school guys out there, old school people who have that old school mentality. And, that's fine, right? That's how it is sometimes. But that's where the superiors, and I'm lucky I work with a bunch of bosses who are very progressive minded in terms of how they think things and how they try to be more dynamic and how they include people, adapting to today's new ways of doing things. Because now we look at society today, it's all about your cell phone, recording this, recording that, bam, it's up on Instagram, it's up on whatever it is, TikTok, the whole 9 yards. So that's why it becomes more of your people that you work with that are open-minded to this process. And if they are, it makes it so much easier to be able to have fun, but also be able to have everyone included in the whole process. Word. Wow. I think that's a really tough question. Oh boy. One word. I can't even think. See, I'm seeing all these words here by myself. Time, but I'm gonna say this. I think the one word to describe it would be, as you said it before, inclusive. Right? You have to have people in power or position of power, that is, that are going to be like, we're going to have the ability to include everybody involved. And if we can get everyone involved, it's going to make it so much easier for us. Because if you go one way on a highway here and don't look left or right, you get into an accident, and you can't have that happen. And that's why it's important that we have people in positions that make decisions to be inclusive of everyone involved. When I first got into it, it's a little bit different when I first got into it, how it is today. It was a lot of old school approaches, shaking people's hands and all of that. And what happened was, I got fortunate enough that there was people who saw something in my talent, which I had no idea I had talent, but I guess they saw something in me, and they brought me on board. And that's where you start to develop the networking, the process to shake hands, introduce yourself to people. Because look, as much as we want to include everybody involved, sometimes you got to pull them in and say, hey, listen, this is so and so. Let's meet this person right now. And you kind of have to sell yourself in a way that, look, I'm willing to do what's required to get to that goal and be a team player. Whether it's getting someone a coffee, and there's many stories about that with myself, getting coffees for people of high position, which I didn't know at the time. But the thing is, the key is you got to sell yourself in the right way of making sure that, hey, I'm open minded. I want to be involved. And most importantly, though, shaking hands and be confident in who you are, because there's a reason why you're in broadcast, and there's a reason why you're in sports, is because you want to be confident in yourself. If you don't have the confidence, they're going to look right past through you and realize that you're not built for this whole process, and look at the next person involved. Like, in the synopsis of all this process here, it's about making sure that you are open-minded, being able to come out there and be confident in yourself, not cocky, be confident in yourself, and also be be a person who's going to treat everyone like a CEO. Like, you can't come in there and assume it's going to come to you. You're going to have to go through the grind process to get to that point. And that's why it's so important to include everybody that you work with, and just try to get a mentor included as well that you think can help you progress in your career. So it's awfully important to have those steps in place, because, as I said before, if you don't have the confidence in yourself, they're going to look at the next person in line and say that person's better than this option that we have right now moving forward.